We all just loved the Malkovich script.
Thanks.
Such a unique voice.
What is the writer's voice?
You should have this little voice inside of you saying, tell the truth. Tell the truth, tell the truth.
There's a wide range of perspectives on this, but put simply, it is how one tells a story. From the choice of words.
You have decent taste in slasher movies.
Here's to dovetailing interests.
To the way they're arranged.
You've got just 1 week to regain your job, starting with tonight. Starting with tonight's sit.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
A distinct point of view.
My mother died of pneumonia when I was just a kid. My father had kept their wedding cake in the freezer for 10 whole years.
Writers with strong voices write scenes and characters that are layered, nuanced, and have a tuned sense of detail.
You know what Virginia Woolf book this reminds me of?
Francis, Undateable.
Of its many striking qualities, the screenplay for Barry Jenkins' Moonlight is especially notable for its expressive voice that has more in common with literary diction than most screenplays. An example of this can be seen in this scene description. And those eyes, looking right at us, staring plaintively, plainly, nothing requested. No expectation, just a clear, undisturbed openness. He looks back, his dark skin moistened in the ocean spray, moon catching him the same as it's catching the surface of the Atlantic. This is not conventional screenwriting. And while it makes for an engaging read on the page, we may ask, does it translate to screen? Let's take a look at the way Jenkins uses voice to serve as subtext in one of the film's pivotal scenes.
Am I a faggot?
No. You could be gay, but you gotta let nobody call you no faggot. I mean, unless...
Juan looking to Teresa motioning him to quit while he's ahead.
How do I know?
You just do.
Little, with all his senses focused there, as his mind goes somewhere altogether different.
You know what you know.
Clearly thinking deeply, forthrightly about this.
Hey. You gotta know right now. All right?
Little nodding, from his demeanor comforted by this. In this state so wounded and curious, invites empathy. Little's eyes shifting gears. For a considerable beat, is completely to himself, mulling something over. From the mouths of babes.
Do you sell drugs?
Crushed.
Yeah.
And my mom. She do drugs, right?
Again, something falling in Juan hangs his head even lower.
Yeah.
Little rises without a word, exits the dining room. Juan not moving. For once, undone. As we can see, Jenkins' voice gives loaded meaning to the scene's quiet glances and suggestive gestures. In the classical style, voice is concealed.
While an image could be beautiful, it wasn't to be so beautiful as to draw attention to itself.
You always start with a long shot, and then you work your way into the closer shots, and then you can go over shoulder if you have them, and then close-ups. In other words, you were taught a formal way.
The audience wasn't to notice cuts, the audience wasn't to notice camera movement, and all this, which was to the good in terms of not interrupting the story.
But with writer-director-driven films, there's a genuine desire of the filmmaker to immerse us into his or her image of the world.
If I tell you I'm making a movie about a poor black boy growing up in the hood with a mom addicted to crack, you think you know what that movie looks like and sounds like. You know, it's a very social realist. There's this style of filmmaking, and I want to describe it as a style of this very dispassionate camera, a very observant, non-obtrusive camera, and we think of that as being naturalism, but there's a sort of artifice in that rigor as well. And so I wanted to take this notion of artifice off the table. and I wanted to embrace the fact that you guys are sitting in a room watching a screen.
Well, I'm your mama, ain't I? Why you ain't just come home later, boy? You had me worried about you. I guess you getting grown. I can't be keeping up with you all the time.
So I'm acknowledging that you guys are sitting in the auditorium watching a film. Let's not try to pretend that you're not. Now you guys are feeling what my main characters are feeling. So immersive cinema.
Voice is especially important for films that rely less on plot and linear structures. In Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love, the flatness of its plot gives way for voice to evoke an intense feeling of longing and heartbreak. We experience an overwhelming weight of emotion, despite learning quite little about the characters. In The Thin Red Line, an elliptical plot is held together by a philosophical voice, emphasizing the value of life and the meaning of death.
What difference you think you can make, one single man, in all this madness? If you die, it's going to be for nothing. There's not some other world out there where everything's going to be okay. There's just this one. Just this rock.
Malick's voice is pushed to the foreground, while the progression of war appears merely as backdrop. In Moonlight, critical moments of a man's life are organized into 3 chapters. Here, voice is thematic. It shows us self-realization, the weight of decisions and consequences, and love. Voice provides a key to involvement when archetypal story structure is subverted or minimized.
Now the thing is, for both novels and film, 75% of the stories you're going to tell will work better on a dramatic basis, on a dramatically engaging basis, to be told from a linear way. But there is that 25% out there that, can be more resonant by telling it this way. And I think in the case of both Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, it gains a lot more resonance being told in this kind of wild way.
There you go.
I think you're ready.
All said, the act of representing the world implies narrative voice, whether it's overt, as it is in Moonlight, or in most cases unnoticeable.
But it's not invisible. If you learn how to look at it, it's not invisible. It's very, it's very precise and really very artful.
Voice is always present.